Hey everybody, Ben here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up for yourself each and every day. So if you're here from the short, you already have a backstory. If not, our word is blue. And this is going to go towards the throat chakra. We really think about uh, that being suppressed, or we're not using it uh, to our benefit, or just improperly with like a shadow aspect. Obviously, it's not helping us. Something in the external happened. We grabbed a hold of it and we suppressed our throat chakra. Whether we don't have the courage to say what we really want to say, and it's not so much of it's we're worried about repercussions. What's the external going to think? What happened when I said this before, or shared how I felt? What was I made to feel like? Well, obviously I affected someone, I triggered someone, and that turned out badly. Then I felt bad for it, or I was ridiculed, or whatever it was. What uh, strong, dense figure was in my presence that squashed me to make me feel like I don't have a say, or I don't have authority over myself. We have two supporting angel number cards: stepping up, being empowered, balance, trust, alignment, companion, love, karma. And then we had mind, mastery, which goes into your knowledge is growing, expand your mind, wisdom, studies, higher education. Oh, what was kind of coming through in the short, but I didn't have enough time to get into it. Like when we start to finally see what's going on with maybe people in our life and how that's affecting us, and then we dive into ourselves a bit more and see how everything kind of comes together. Obviously, I'm sure we've all experienced a manipulative individual, and their words or actions show something, and it's normally going against a wound or a trauma, a trigger that we're holding inside with our shadow, and it's exploiting or abusing that, and we're not seeing it during the time because we're in that wound and it's hurting and it's making us feel a certain way. Finally, we start to see that the behavior, the words, what they do, the power, and where we can direct them. Well, during this whole process, we're waking up to a lot of things. We start to see patterns. We start to see ourselves and the others in our lives, and we start to put everything together. And during that period, we learn uh, what's good and what's bad, or what we justify as what's good and what's bad, and what we can do with it, with ourselves and with others. We may watch our words, maybe we did for a while, but like I said there in the beginning of, if I say something, which I'm sure I trigger people every day somehow because I touch on that wound, okay? I trigger that wound just like we would in a normal relationship or family unit or work. Somebody says something and it touches on something and they don't like that. Who would? Not like they're angry about it. They might be angry about it, or they might be sad about it, or whatever. But however it comes out, they're going to try to cover that up. We're going to divert the water, divert the disaster away. And then we project this out. We dump that onto somebody else. So if I said something that triggered you, you would normally say something back to change it or to hurt me or whatever it is. And what we do with that is in that wounded space, we're going to get suppressed. We're going to silence ourselves. Uh, Whatever it is, even if you were just having fun and having a good time and somebody was in a bad mood, they're miserable. They don't want that. We're going to silence that, shut that down. You're not entitled to this because I'm not having it right now. I'm not experiencing that, so no one else can be happier. However we look at it, this projection. This is way off topic, but it came up yesterday, and it's an easier way or a simpler way, I feel, to show projection. Let's say a father has a young daughter and he loves her, he cares for her, and she gets that age that she starts to date maybe, or dress the way younger girls dress nowadays and expose themselves a bit more, and he's very protective of it. And understandable, it's his baby girl and he doesn't want anybody to hurt her. But this feeling that that's going to happen is a feeling from inside. At one time he was young. At one time his hormones were driving him, and he knows what went through his head, or maybe things he said to uh, score or get an extra step ahead with this primitive motive. That's inside him. And instead, I'm not saying every man is like this, but I'm saying that this is something to compare. But that's inside him, and if he was capable of it, he projects it out. And all these younger guys he's expecting that are interacting with his daughter have those same motives. Uh, when we embody something, we project it onto others. If I am up to malicious or I'm a thief or whatever, I'm going to think everyone else around me is a thief. And I'm going to project that out. These are the things that are inside of us. So this also comes with this whole naivety aspect. I didn't mean anything by it. I think everybody's just a good person and blah, 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 when really they're not. We finally get to that stage and we learn. We do that reflection that, hey, this is me and I'm dumping this onto somebody else. Now, uh, when we see that, we also see how it's done to us and how we got suppressed in the first place, or manipulated in the first place, or wounded or hurt in the first place. Yes, it's easy to blame and point fingers and everything during a period of time, but there's also this empowering state. And where I was going with that whole uh, growing and waking up and seeing the power of our words, when we see what others may have done onto us, we see what we're capable in the same space. Maybe that limited our voice at a time, wondering or tiptoeing around words to make sure, or to try to protect this idea of what is taking place. But that's also, oh, what's the best word to use that? It's not healthy to tiptoe so much, because it's, to tiptoe around people's wounds is what I'm getting at here. If we can see a wound or what it is or what they're struggling with, uh, and they're not making an effort, but we want to placate it, we want to walk around it, what service is that doing? We're just embedding embedding or inviting them to continue that behavior. Most of the time, uh, drastic situations that we might experience with random people or people that are close to us that do trigger us, it is on purpose. It is to help wake us up. Even though times it might hurt, it might be drastic and painful, but I truly believe that every experience, even if we are working out of a wound and we get into a relationship or experience something that is that wound, that really heightens it, that exploits it, that abuses it, its whole point is for us to finally see it. And when we don't, we get into another relationship that does the same kind of thing, or it gets louder in our face until we finally see it and we put these puzzle pieces together. And otherwise, why would we? We would never see it. Everybody would tiptoe around that wound, and we would always have it. We would always carry it. We wouldn't be aware of it. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, because it's fun and it's safe to be in a victim place versus seeing that, wow, I did have this wound and it was affecting my life. It was affecting my direction, my experiences, my decisions, my choices. So that was all over the place, but that's what came through. So when we think of stepping up, how are we going to start to use our voice? Uh, Going back to that tiptoe idea, maybe we were placating a bit. We were people pleasing, keeping the peace in a space of not saying things. That's not running up to the person and telling them that this is their problem. It is, well, if I say this, they're going to react. And I know why. It's like, we don't have to do that anymore. Why would we? It's not our wound. It's not our job to coddle the wound when someone doesn't want to work through it or progress. When I think of speaking out here online, I do try to word things properly to not offend people, but it doesn't really matter, because they're going to be offended no matter what, because they have a wound. Everybody does. It's inevitable. It can't be undone. It can't be stopped. It can't be ceased. Uh, we continuously try to allow these to exist, and when we do, as a whole, what happens? Nothing happens. There's no growth. There's no expansion. There's no healing. I'm not here purposely trying to trigger people, but I know it happens. Uh, Mind mastery, really getting into the aspect of putting all these puzzle pieces together. I really didn't even talk about, how much are we really suppressed and uh, always worried about what other people are going to think. I guess I briefly touched on that. I often talk about the external and how often we lead with that. We are so inevitably concerned of what others will think or if we'll be accepted. Especially now with the internet, anything you say will be used against you and twisted into whatever knot it can be. That existed before, but it was, in person through gossip and whatnot. This is building a place of authenticity. We got Eight of Cups, spiritual growth. It's evolution. It's evolving. It's seeing things differently for what they are, understanding. Normally through this process, we eventually get to a place where small talk isn't really valuable. It doesn't do anything. It's doesn't carry any weight. The smaller conversations of this or complaining about that aren't worth it. You start to protect your energy. You start to see much more through this experience. Something I want to say about the throat, like where are we still afraid of holding that back? The Emperor reversed, chaos, and this is about other people's egos. What what do I say, or what will I say, or what could I say that is going to trigger that outcome? Oh, I mean, normally and mostly what I've been talking about, this is for people that were in a place of that authorial figure or someone that was louder, and when something didn't go their way or that wound or that trigger happened, uh, everybody had a problem with it. I mean, well, everyone was gonna have a problem because they had a problem with it, type of thing. It was well known. Don't you dare! How dare you? Kind of thing. You touch this wound of mine that I'm not going to work on. It's the outcome. How is that so threatening? Why are they still in your life if that's the case? What are we in debt to them for? That we're fabricating in our mind that we are in debt to them. It's no one's, in all reality, it's no one's job to please others. What does that say for you? If we're in a place like that, like where is your pleasing if we're constantly on this eggshell tiptoeing aspect to please others? Five of Wands, clashed interests. It's immediately, who's on the top, and it's totally fabricated through this idea of the external. Everything's propped up by the external. It's how I'm presented. It is fragile when everything is built or fabricated or presented in the external, which is not in here. I don't know. I should find a better way to describe that if people don't understand it, but it's not my feelings. It's what's presented out here. It's the clothes I'm wearing. It's my face. It's the way I look. The things that I surround myself with, people, places, or things. That is what people think I am, who they think I am, and what I stand for. That is very fragile. There is when that gets stirred up or affected, it changes. Naturally, it would change, but it would crumble. It has the ability to crumble and completely fall if we don't have anything built in here. And going back to that aspect of triggering anyone and everyone uh, that doesn't view their insecurities or their fears or their shadow as a problem, because we just cover them up with things. We silence people when they touch them. We hurt people when they touch them to remind them to never go down that road ever again when we didn't do anything. They grabbed a hold of it and they did something with it. This is no different than me or you or anyone out there. If someone says something to us, it's an opportunity to do something with it. And we sometimes we think we don't have control, but it hurts our feelings and we grab a hold of it and we run with it. And now that person's a bad person. And how can I hurt them or retaliate, if we will? And we got a card here left on the bottom. We'll use that one. Ace of Pentacles reversed. Missed opportunities. This kind of just brings right up the idea of like getting stuck in situations that we don't want to do, like if we offered help or something, or uh, I should have really said that, but I didn't, and dwelling on that, and now we feel stuck, or that I can't quit because it's going to be a bad image on me, or whatever it may be, or I wish I would have really said what I wanted to say and I couldn't. That is a lot of emotion to carry. It does suck to be stuck in a place like that, but we're still limiting. And now we feel like we need even more courage to confront or to say the truth or how we really feel, to remove ourselves from those situations. Uh, at what point do we? I'm just feeling like right now, like I need like a lot of courage to leave a place that maybe we once were, of being silenced or feeling silenced, feeling unable to speak, and to finally get back to that is it's a daunting task. Immediately, what's coming up is like embodying the idea that removing the need for the external approval or validation. Ace of Cups reversed, repressed feelings. Might dwell a lot on all these times that we felt overpowered, and during that period, uh, people do overstep. I'm not taking away from that, but we're very small in that space. We're giving our power away because we view them as more powerful than us, or in charge of us, or however we view it. And during that period, I'm not talking about law enforcement. I'm talking about like family or friends or romantic partners, coworkers, whatever we're looking at here. uh, we feel small and they are large, and we cower down at that point, and we feel silenced. We feel small. Obviously, there's a wound connected there. At some point, someone made us feel like we weren't allowed to say anything. Going back to that idea that I mentioned earlier of the authoritarian figure, that when that wound was touched or they were in a bad mood, everybody else was silenced. And if you say anything or do anything that triggers that or affects that, you're in trouble and you're going to get repercussions. Uh, Healing that, or knowing that it had absolutely nothing to do with you, it had everything to do with the individual, going back to that whole projection aspect. Projecting the problem onto others, or diverting it away from what's actually being touched. The stars reversed. Lack of faith. We can look at this in self. I don't have the courage. I can't do this. It's probably nerve-wracking. And then maybe when you do it, you feel guilty. That wound that's in there is a difficult one to dig through. Really depends on what you're still hanging on to, people-wise, and still being in that space. Obviously, we'll always be in a wounded space, because how can that relationship stand the way that it always did if you actually stepped into a place of power? It can't. I mean, it can, but it'd be extremely uncomfortable. I guess what I did say is the relationship wouldn't be the same, which means it would have to change. And maybe that's not up. That's not up for options. That's impossible. It can't be, because the other person's not going to get it. They're not going to see it because they're not working on that wound or viewing that wound as an issue. And they're not going to understand, and then there's going to be turmoil, and then it's going to open this door for more suppression. So I guess it's really a reflection on what you want to do. How important is that relationship? And is the reasonings that you view it important valid, or is it connected to a wound that makes it valid? As in, we are validating the reason for the relationship to continue based upon a wound that was created by this other person. So that's something we really have to dig in there and see, does it hold purpose for me healing, or to keep my wound open and to continuously be suppressed? unable to speak because they're exploiting my wound. Gonna leave this here. If this resonated, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you all later.